Hey everyone, welcome back to That's Debatable Daily. My name is Leaveso, and I'm joined today with Landon Newton, one of my oldest friends. Today we're going to be discussing something fascinating and important, which is the weapon of choice in a kitchen fight. So, you're in a kitchen, I don't know who you're fighting or what you're fighting.
That could be important.
You need a weapon.
Okay.
Do you grab a metal spoon or a can of chili?
What kind of kitchen is this that my best options in a whole kitchen are a spoon?
I'll tell you right
or
now,
a can?
my kitchen, because there's plenty of knives there. There's plenty of everything. You're never going to find them. You might luckily locate a spoon that's clean. The can of chili is just going to be there because somebody ate it a week ago.
You know, also,
Roommates.
oh, you're saying an empty can of chili?
It can be. It just says can of chili.
Oh,
Here's the
I
deal,
was gonna
because
say-
full can is way better to throw.
right,
Empty can is sharp.
right. That's true. That's true.
You could even just take off the lid of the can and just...
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
we get violent on this show like often.
Wow, and that
Yeah,
escalated.
That was.
fast.
I realized that that was a violent move, dude. I would do it though.
So here's the thing. So some versatility. The thing about the thing about chili. The first thought, I think, the automatic, natural first thought. Also, first of all, I like these kind of questions.
I know, me too.
Because these are the ones when you're like 10 and you're like thinking about life as an action movie. You're like,
I might have to make this decision.
what would I
someday.
do with this can of chili?
Probably not, but there might be a
Like,
day where you see a
but when you're-
spoon and you see chili and you're like, I have a millisecond to decide.
And when you're 10 years old and you're watching you're watching the Avengers throw random stuff at people, you think you might have to do that someday.
Yeah.
So, and maybe you will.
So here's the hard thing. A spoon is going to be stabby. You'd hold it by the spoon end and stab with the handle, I think, is probably, unless you're like trying to do something else with a spoon that I don't want to get into too detaily because you could do a lot of crazy things to somebody with it. Let's just say you're trying to stab them with it. I think that's the most useful way.
Mm-hmm.
A can of chili, especially a full one, you grab that and chuck it at their face. If you land that, it's done.
Yeah.
The fight is over
Yeah.
because either you've hit them and then you go
Yeah.
like continue fighting them and that threw them off guard enough, or even
Yeah.
just throwing it all. Because but the spoon's scary. If somebody has that and they're trying to hit you with it, that's
the
a
thing
scary
because
thing.
it's like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And some spoons are kind of like a little pokey.
They can be pokey on the end.
know?
Not as
And if
pokey
you're-
as a knife, but they can be pokey.
Yeah, like if you're grabbing it by, like you hold the whole round part in your hand and you got the little like
it's a little
pokey.
scary.
It's like, I would rather, if I were fighting, this is a good way maybe to make this decision. If I were fighting somebody and they were going to either hold a spoon in their hand and try to get me with it or throw a can of chili at me, I think I would take my chances with a can of chili
Really?
and try to just dodge once
Right.
and their weapon's gone.
Right. That's a good point. So what if they have the can of chili and instead they just decide to beat you over the head with it? That's pretty bad. Even if you had a spoon to defend yourself, like
Yeah.
a couple of hits, it's a bludgeoning weapon versus a stabbing
Yeah.
weapon. And that's
Here's-
kind of a hard decision.
Here's one thing I'll say. So when I was a kid, I bludgeoned. No, I'm just kidding. When I was a kid, I remember we were playing. There was like a pool table, right? And we were like throwing these, like we would like hit the other pool balls with
Yeah.
the pool balls, right? And there was one time a pool ball was coming, and I went to hit it, and my finger got caught between the two of them.
Yeah.
And it was like it has
One of
stuck
the worst,
with me.
I bet.
When you boom. So now I'm thinking if you had a can of chili, you would have to try to avoid. You could injure yourself
That's true.
pretty easily.
That is true.
Like trying to put it against someone's head or something, or even if you hit a counter or something.
Right. You could really hurt your
You
finger.
could break your finger and then you can't use it.
I think the shape of it would help though, because it's a round thing and it's so natural to
Try to,
hold a
like-
round thing. I think you're hitting the end with it.
Right.
And that's also the best part because that ring is going to have the most the force is going to be most concentrated, right?
And
in
if
that.
it starts to pop open, you could squeeze it in their eyes.
Yeah, here's the deal. I think that if somebody's coming for me, I might just grab that can of chili and just like, if I can't throw it, if they're close enough, I'll probably just try to close the distance, start hitting them with that chili. Whereas like the spoon, knowing that I'm going to have to use that
Right.
in that way,
Yeah.
I might just want to beat him with the can of chili, dude.
The other question is if you are already grappling,
Yeah.
like if you are tied up.
This is best choice in a kitchen fight.
Yeah. And I'm thinking like if like you need a little bit of room to wind up with the chili.
Yeah.
Right? If someone's like on top of you and you've got the spoon,
Yeah.
you can poke them in the neck with it. Even if you're not stabbing. Yeah. I'm like, we're avoiding talking about the eyeballs.
That makes it
But
a
you
very
got to
effective
talk about
weapon.
the eyeballs.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the thing is, it just gets so violent. But like, if I'm in a kitchen fight, let's be honest, the best fight is a quick fight.
Yeah.
The best fight is that you end with one move. The best fight is over as soon as it can be. And so maybe that's just more useful with the spoon, but also like, I don't know, you have to be so much more closer and like precise with the spoon, whereas you just start beating with that can and they're like, okay, yeah, they maybe leave your house.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might choose the can for that reason.
I just think that the spoon, when it comes down to the dire straits at the
Yeah.
end, and you're like struggling with somebody, I think you have more options with the
I
spoon
gotta
at
say,
that
with a
point.
spoon though, you don't get to decide what kind of spoon or how big it is. There are spoons that are worse for that, which actually might bend before they stab someone.
That's
they might
true.
actually bend and not
Yeah.
really be effective unless
Right.
you hit the eyes or an
Yeah.
orifice.
But also, let's talk about how big the spoon might be.
Yeah.
I've
Might
seen
be a
people
big
with-
spoon.
with
Might be a
spoons
big
like
metal
this
spoon.
Where, at that point, it's more like kind of a club. It's not a very heavy club.
Sure.
But if you have a spoon, if you have one of these big, like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a salad. I don't know what those spoons are even for. But
Sure,
like
big
my,
old huge spoon.
My in-laws have a big
I would choose
spoon
that
like
for
this.
sure. You just don't know what size it's going to be.
Right.
You got no guarantees.
What
so-
if you have one of those mini cans of chili?
Exactly. Well,
Or what if it's a
big old can of chili. I think chili
not
is
very-
more standard, that when you think of can of chili, you're more
Yeah.
likely to get a bigger thing, whereas spoon, you might end up with a teaspoon.
if it was
know what I mean?
between would a ladle be considered as a possibility here?
I don't think a ladle would be a spoon in this
No.
situation.
Okay, so let's say it's a big spoon
And a big can of chili.
or just a normal can of chili, but like
I think I'm choosing the
like
spoon
a
in that
foot
situation.
long spoon.
I think if it's a big spoon, I'm choosing big spoon, but because of the risk of the spoon, I think I'm going with chili.
you
Ultimately,
like big spoon.
big spoon.
Yeah, okay.
My favorite. I choose big spoon.
You know what? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
If it's
I'm
a big
just-
spoon, big spoon.
Big spoon first.
if
sure.
there is
Hands down.
if there is no prior guarantee to the spoon sizing,
The chili's a
probably
little
chili.
safer. Okay. I am of the same thought and mind, but let's see what people at home think. Please comment about this. Please let us know. Tell us when we're wrong, why we're right, and let us go back and forth with you a little in the comments. We'll be active there for sure.
This one feels like one where I do feel like there's leaves unturned here.
You guys will come up with some
I
stuff,
can't
I'm
find
sure.
them, but I feel like there's
Yeah,
some here.
for sure. And we only have, a couple minutes to discuss each one. So please chime in, guys. And then join us for tomorrow, where we are going to be talking about villain superpowers. And we're choosing between freezing time for 15 seconds, but everyone knows you did, versus you can shapeshift into anyone, but only into people who mildly dislike you. We'll see you guys tomorrow.